when the challenge comes, pride beats loud like 100 drums. Fear of rejection makes me wanna swing, but a fragile ego ain't a bulletproof thing. Gotta bite the bullet, gotta stand right here and let the truth hurt. Break it! Break the glass jaw! Take it! Take the hit to the chin, drop the heavy armor, let the evidence in. It takes real guts to say I could be wrong. I kill my own pride just to stay strong. Yeah! Break the glass jaw! Infinite ways that the world could turn, infinite facts that I still gotta learn. You stand up tall and you disagree. I shut my mouth and I let you speak. Don't get triggered, I don't need to fight. I look at the proof and step into the right. Break it! Break the glass jaw! Take it! Take the hit to the chin, drop the heavy armor, let the evidence in. It takes real guts to say I could be wrong. I kill my own pride just to stay strong. Yeah! Break the glass jaw. Listen to the opposition. Listen. Drop the blind condition. I deny myself. I let the fear die. I look the hard facts straight in the eye. I take the hit and I don't get offended. I take the hit and the ego is ended. Break it! Break the glass jaw! Take it! Take the hit to the chin, drop the heavy armor, let the evidence in. It takes real guts to say I could be wrong. I kill my own pride just to stay strong. Yeah! Break the glass jaw! Take the hit, don't get offended. Take the hit, the ego is ended.
Well, shalom again, shalom again. All right, well, this is take two. We were live there earlier, and all of a sudden the whole system crashed here. I think there's just so much stuff going on, and it was hard to handle all this. So I hope that our live stream is going to be uninterrupted now. I did shut off one of the extra streams, just hoping that this would solve the problem. And thank you guys for your understanding, and thank you for your patience, and thank you guys for coming back here. So yeah, here we are again. We have Bluebird on, a special guest. I'm gonna pull her in just a moment. In the meantime, guys, share the live stream, share with your family, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, your church buddies, pastors, priests, all that kind of stuff. And hopefully we'll get all of your friends and all of your acquaintances on here to enjoy the stream. Okay, so yeah, how y'all doing tonight? Hope everyone is going to be coming over here from the last stream. Here we are. Looks like everything is good. All right. Okay, so just before I pull in Bluebird, I just want to let you guys know that we were live yesterday with Pastor Artur Pawlowski. It was a wonderful time. We had a great time with Pastor Art yesterday, and because of our extended 3-hour stream in the afternoon, we've decided to postpone yesterday's last night's, I should say, live stream because of the amount of time that we spent with Pastor Art earlier. So thank you guys for your understanding and all that kind of stuff. All right. Are we live over there on YouTube? Let me know if everything looks good over there on YouTube. Let me know. In the meantime, I pray that everything that we share here today would be a great blessing to you, increase your knowledge of the scriptures, your knowledge of the things of heaven, your relationship with God, and your knowledge of the truth. Amen, amen, amen. Okay, so Billy says live and sounding good. Thank you, Billy. I appreciate that. Earlier, Calamento says Shabbat Shalom again to all, and Billy says take two. Yes, take two. Hopefully this is the last take for the night, I tell you. Thank you, Billy. And Calamento says, looking forward to this stream. Thank you, Calamentos. That's great. And Calamento says, sounds good here too. Okay. All right. So, without any further ado, I'm just trying to think if we need to mention anything else before Bluebird comes on. Bluebird is a member of our channel, and she's been a member for quite some time. So we're going to pull her in and have a chat with Bluebird. So, all right, I want you guys in the live chat to feel free, and even in the comment section afterwards, to feel free to ask any questions that you may have, or any comments that you may have. Okay, just to double check here, make sure everything's good. Okay, so we have Bluebird here. Welcome, Bluebird.
Thank you, Christopher. Hello, everybody. Good evening and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. All right. Yeah, and yeah, Shabbat Shalom to you and to those in the live chat as well. Calamentos, Billy, Shabbat Shalom and blessings multiplied, you guys, to you and your families. Okay, Bluebird. I should say first off, you have you go by Bluebird in the day, and in the night you go by Missy Slim Dog.
That is correct.
Missy Slim Dog. So we got Bluebird / Missy Slim Dog. Well, it's great to have you on. So
thank you.
There's a few things, a few things that to talk about here. You mentioned to me about Pastor Artur Pawlowski. You saw the live stream yesterday.
Yes, I did. Yes, I watched most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, could you, well, first of all, here, Seek the Lord in the live chat says, welcome back. Thank you, Seek the Lord. Welcome back, and blessings multiplied to you and your family. Calamento says, Missy Slim Dog. Yeah, with a W, DAWG. Yeah. So Bluebird in the day, Missy, you're gonna be Missy Slim Dog very soon here, because the sun is going down. So then you'll have to pull off your transformation into Missy Slim Dog.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So you saw Pastor Art yesterday. We were going for like 3 hours, and I didn't even know that I was going to be doing it until the night before, because Pastor Art sent me a message saying that he would like to come on, but he said he's on a long vacation, and he, the only available day up until I forget how many weeks or whatever it would be, he said would be tomorrow, which would have been yesterday. So this was after the live stream, literally right after the live stream on Wednesday. I sent him another email back. I replied to him and I said, okay, well, so you want to come on tomorrow? Like, Thursday? He's like, yeah. I said, what time's good for you? And he gave me, a time, and I'm like, okay, we'll do it anyway. So I didn't know how it would go. And it was great to see Pastor Art on. And it lasted for a while, 3 hours, but it was awesome. I will have him back, Lord willing, again sometime very shortly. And I will say as well, for those of you who are listening to this, I am looking into getting some of the top-notch, cream of the crop Bible scholars to join us as well in the near future, Lord willing, just so you know that's on the table. Bluebird, let me know what do you think about Pastor Art?
I was astounded at what he had to go through in this country. I mean, I know that things are bad, but I honestly did not realize how bad they really were. I mean, that's outrageous, outrageous. Boy, oh boy, what he had to go through. And for helping people, for feeding people and just talking about the Bible. I mean, they treat him like he's a gangster, like he's a criminal. I mean, I think they treat criminals better than they treated him. It was just terrible. I mean, and I had to buy the book. I bought the book right away after
So do you have the book now?
Well, I do. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Let's see it. See it. Oh, there you go.
Right
all right.
Here, I got this book on Amazon, just like he said. It is almost 500 pages. It is hardcover, very good quality. I'm looking forward to reading this book. And I know that the money is going to a good cause. So, and $40.
Can you hold it up a little bit higher, because you can see the picture? Yeah. So you see the picture there on the front, where he is in like the bottom middle, and all these police officers are dragging him across a highway.
Terrible.
And yeah, so he's got his hands behind his back, and they're dragging him there across a busy highway. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there what else stuck out to you there about yesterday?
Well, I mean, the bravery of this man, and the courage and the bravery. I mean, we all need more of that. We need to feel like, we don't have to be intimidated and be fearful.
Do you know what? Like, I'll tell you, just last night, I saw in my feed popped up an older video from Charlie Kirk, and he was talking about Pastor Artur Pawlowski. And he said the same what you just said right now. He said, we need more pastors like this. And he twice during this very short little YouTube clip, Charlie Kirk said that he is a hero.
Absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Reading the Bible, he got charged for doing that. He was charged for giving out free. I wrote some of the stuff down here that he was talking about. Giving out free goods and services, illegal distribution of material. He had his place raided. People tried to set fire to his home while his children were there sleeping.
Totally evil. Evil people. Evil. Terrible. And he's still going on. Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. What else? What else stuck out to you there? Did you hear anything that you never heard before?
Well, I mean, just the treatment of the way they treated him was what stuck out to me. Like, I mean, stripping him down naked and putting him in a cement cell, and then putting him in a cage like an animal. I mean, even animals are treated better than that. Like that's the treatment of this pastor was just outrageous. And he endured it. And I mean, even he said goodbye to his wife because he thought he wasn't going to make it the first time. And then the second time thought he was going to freeze to death. And so he wanted to say goodbye to her again. He didn't think he was going to make it. And then his wife got on the phone and was calling some people, and somehow he got out. Thank God. Like, totally amazing.
And he said that they put him in the cruiser upside down with his feet in the head, his head, where you would usually put your feet, and his feet on the ceiling of the cruiser.
Yeah.
And they would mock him like that for a while, according to him.
Terrible. Unbelievable. I don't know how people can be that wicked. I don't understand that. I was thinking a while ago, about all the wicked people in the world. And when you have a baby in the hospital and you look at this little cute little baby, and you think, oh, this is so sweet, sweet little person, right? And then, but to find out that somebody would grow up to actually be that wicked, like an innocent little baby would turn out to be so wicked. I mean, it's just astounding to me that how this could possibly happen, but it does. I don't know.
Yeah, we all, everyone, both the wicked and the righteous, all, come, we all start from the same place, so to speak. Yeah, and I think that culture has a lot to do with it as well, and the way that people were raised, and I think that because of that, and because of the increasing darkness, if you will, of the world today, makes you wonder what the world's going to be like in another 20 years or 40 years. But I do think that people like Artur Pawlowski is someone who's definitely not going with the flow. And so whenever you have someone pushing one way, you're always going to have someone pushing the other way. Just like that scientific law is, and how does it go there? I'm thinking about, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they said that they offered him $2 million to shut up, and a place in the government. They offered him a place in the government and $2 million to shut up. And he said, "No, I'm not. I'm not for sale."
Yeah. Wow, that's me. Just like when the devil came to Jesus and offered him everything.
Yeah.
And he said, "Get behind me, Satan." Yeah. Yeah, so they obviously know he's a threat. They think he's a threat. They know he is. But they wouldn't go to great lengths to do what they've done to him. So,
right.
It shows the power of our God.
Yeah. There's something else you said you'd like to talk about. Just before we go to the next topic, anything else there that you wanted to share about yesterday's live stream?
I think that it's important that we all support him in some way. Whether it's buying the book or giving a small donation or doing something, like he said, because he needs our help, and anybody who does what he does, needs our help financially and our prayers as well. But I think it's very important that we can all do something to help.
Right. I think as you're talking there, I think about the media, and how the media, and I mean like the mainstream media, they are a good factor of programming the minds of the masses.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I've personally witnessed this myself, and I don't know if I ever talked about this on the live streams before, but there was I used to meet with one of the top. I'm trying to be careful with my words here because I don't want to cause any problems with anybody, but I used to meet with one of the top media personalities in the area where I live, and the last time I had a meeting with this person, I was shocked what happened. So I was talking about preaching, and this person interviewed me, and I was talking about preaching, and this person would write. I met with this person several times before. I'll just call this person X. I met with X several times before, and it was always like interview style, and X would actually put what I said on the media. But there was this one thing that there's this one time I met with X, and I was talking about preaching, to all kinds of people. And X was writing down like, so you're going to this church, right? Right. Oh, yeah, that's pretty. You're going and you're preaching on the streets over here. You're preaching, you're going to this city. You're going to that city. Writing down everything, just as X would usually do it. But there was this specific community of people that I'm not going to get into in detail here, and we're just talking about preaching to this particular community. And as soon as I said that, X put down the pen, stopped writing, and called the meeting off and sent me an email afterwards saying that this will not be published. So that was like, you hear about it over and over again, where it's like the media is telling you what they want you to know and what they want you to think. They are programming you. And I've heard about this for years, of course, but to see it firsthand is something else. Like for it to happen to you and to you see it firsthand. To me, it was a shocker. And I've seen as well, the media make stories up that are not true because of their bias against somebody or a certain, somebody or a certain group of people or a certain religion or a certain denomination. They would make stories up. I've seen this as well. It's crazy. Yeah,
Yes.
I think that this is what was going on with Pastor Art, because they refused to report a lot of it. What do you think?
Doesn't surprise me. I know myself, I have experienced the same thing that you're talking about being at a certain place, and they completely take and twist everything. And like you said, when you're there and you see what's going on, and they completely take and turn it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why, whenever I read something or even like a video of especially mainstream media, I always have to take it with a grain of salt. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, and you can't believe anything they say. Very, very little. Yeah, very little. Yeah, I learned that too.
In the live chat, Qbert says Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Qbert's welcome and blessings multiplied to you and your family. Hope you're having an awesome time. Yeah. So Bluebird, there is another thing that you would like. You were expressing some thoughts about, and that is another video that we did. And this was several days ago. Can you explain? Just let everybody know what video you're talking about and what your thoughts are.
Oh, yeah. That was one of the videos that you did about the birth control pill. And yeah, I'm very concerned. I have a lot of things to say about that. I'm going to keep it short,
so you're talking about the actual title of the video wasn't really that, but it was about the numbers going extinct. And not necessarily just about I just want to put this out there as well. It wasn't primarily about the birth control pill in that sense, but it was more on the positive side of just to those who can. I understand that there are many who it just wouldn't work with them, and I think that's understandable. I think that God is a God who would understand. Everybody's in a different place, but the idea is for those who are in that place in their life to think more and to plan more along the lines of being fruitful and multiplying the family unit, and to to expand like that, because if it keeps going like it is, there won't be much more time before the West as we know it and many other countries will be extinct. And the only people that will be here on Earth, the quote unquote winners, if you will only be the ones who are actually obeying the first and the greatest command. That would be the first one in the, chronologically speaking, to be fruitful and multiply. Yeah, go ahead, Bluebird.
Yeah, I actually learned some things from that particular video. You were talking about how the birth control pill actually changes your whole system so that you're attracted to the wrong guy. So, I mean, I personally myself, I can see that might have happened with me, because I was on the pill from when I was 20 years old till when I was about 30. For 10 years, I was on the pill. And I went on the pill not because I had I know that there are certain problems that the pill is supposed to be good to help with. I didn't have any of those problems. I just went on the pill because my friend said, oh, the pill is great. You can go out and do whatever you want, not have to worry about getting pregnant. So I thought, okay, all right. So I went on it and I did what I wanted to do, and then by the time I was 30, I'm thinking, well, I'm 30 now, because I'm thinking all along, I'm 20 years old. I got lots of time to have kids. And I always wanted to have children, always did. When my mother asked me what I wanted to do, and I was just a little girl, and I said, Mommy, I just want to be like you. I want to have a family. I want to get married. I want to have a family, have some children, and have my own little house and do what she did. Just an at-home mom, stay-at-home mom with the children. That's what I always wanted to do. I was never had any idea of having a career of any kind. So anyway, now by the time I'm 30, I'm thinking, all right, I've been partying for 10 years. It's time now for me to think about having a family. So I went off the pill. And also at this particular time, the boyfriend I was with, his grandmother won $250,000. Now, this is going back in the early 80s, 1981. Back then, $250,000 was almost $1 million today. That was a lot of money. And she bought a house for us. She also bought a house for my boyfriend's parents, and she bought other things for other people. So I thought, this is perfect. We talked about it, and I went off the pill, having the house and everything. And so 6 months later, I was pregnant. Sorry, hoping this wouldn't happen. I ended up miscarrying. And I never went back on the pill.
Sorry to hear about that.
Thank you. Well, I never really got over it. I never got over it. And even to this day, as you can see, I never went back on the pill, and I never got pregnant again. And here all the time, I was on this pill thinking, I can do what I want. I got lots of time to have kids, but it never happened. I never had any more. So I have a baby waiting for me in heaven. But I would have liked to have a whole lot more. And if I could change, that's the first thing that I would do. Certainly would not live that way. I would have gotten married, and I would have had children. I would have never gone on the pill. Biggest mistake of my life. And then when you turn 50, you're thinking, well, what happens to me now? Because now I'm 50, okay? I'm getting older. If something happens to me, who's going to look after me? I have no children. So either my family is going to have to look after me, or I'm going to end up in a home. Now I'm thinking this, okay? And you think more and more about these things the older you get. And I have a friend whose sister was very career oriented. And she's always been a hard worker, and she's never had time for a husband or never thought about really having a family. Then when she turned 50, now she regrets the whole thing. She regrets it too. She can't have children now. She's too old. And she regrets the whole thing. So my story did not end well, but your story can. If there's anybody out there right now who's young enough to still have children and you're thinking, please, please seriously consider it. Because when you get my age, you're going to wish that you had it. And not only just that, not only for that reason, but children are a blessing. Children have always been a blessing. And I've always loved children. I always wanted to have my own children.
So you said when someone gets your age, I know this is, please forgive me, and you don't have to answer this question, but I understand that normally this would not be an acceptable question, but are you comfortable sharing your age?
Oh, yeah, I can tell you. I don't mind. I'm 70.
70.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel pretty good, but, day to day, right? I mean, I thank the Lord for every day. Because I mean, I'm feeling pretty good most of the time. I do have my health problems, but for the most part, I thank the Lord for, the health that I do have, which a lot don't, and a lot of people my age have passed away, and even younger than myself, people I went to school with have passed away. So I'm very thankful the Lord has given me these years. I don't know how long I have left, and I'm just, hoping that I can do some good and help some other people. I really wouldn't want any of you to end up like me, because I'm alone right now. Okay. And that's the last thing on earth I ever wanted to do. Last thing on earth. So, I mean, even my friends back in the day when I was a party girl, I mean, they all took time out to have children. They had children when they're, in the mid 80s, they had children. But not me. Nope. I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't ready. I'll be ready one day, I said. By the time you're ready, it could be too late. I mean, I think it's very, very important for people to really think seriously about this. Because I think it is important to have children, like Christopher said, we need to be fruitful and multiply, and we need to have children so that they can go out in the world and preach the gospel and put the message out there. Because if we don't do it, who's going to do it if everybody dies off? I think this is what we're supposed to do as believers. And there's people out there that are having children that are not even believers, and they're having them left and right, and I really think this is what we need to do, especially if you're young enough. If you're hearing this and you're young enough, I just hope that, you would want to have children while you can. That's all I'm saying, because if you get to my spot, there ain't no turning back. No turning back. So that is my regret. That is the deepest regret of my life that I have.
I'm thinking about, back in the early 90s when I was really, really focused on preaching the gospel, and the whole idea preaching the gospel is to bring more people into the church, so to speak, or especially bring more people into heaven, populate heaven, populate the kingdom of God, bring more people on God's side. And I have really been through a lot to do what I believed was the right thing to do, to preach and to populate heaven and to populate the church on earth. And that's one of the things. I was talking earlier about the early days of the 90s for me, and I would love to get. I got a whole box full of videos that I would love to get digitized and put up on YouTube. God did some really amazing things, but for me, I have come to realize one of the things that I would do different is put more emphasis on what you're talking about when it comes to populating the community of faith here on earth, and certainly ultimately populating heaven is to do that. to have, to be fruitful and multiply. And this is how the church grows. This is how the faith grows. And I think the numbers, speak for themselves. The numbers, even Muslims are like, they are focused on this more than Christians are. And they say that, Christians can get busy doing what, basically get busy doing other things other than multiplying, but we're going to multiply and we're going to take over. And in a way, really they're right, because the numbers, that's where the numbers are going, right? The numbers are going down for a lot of communities and demographics, but the numbers are going up in other, in other different religions and such like that as well. So one of the things that I would do different myself is put more focus. I think that, see, I used to attend a church that was really, really hard on really, really preach the gospel, preach. It's all about preaching the gospel. It's all about populating heaven. I think they should have put a little bit more emphasis on being fruitful and multiplying and more of the family unit. That would ground people a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Well, see, too, what gets me is these people who say they don't want to have children because they don't want to bring the kids into a wicked world like this. But isn't that all the more reason to have children? Is so that they can be a shining light in this world? I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it's awesome that you brought that up, Bluebird, because I was just looking into this a few days ago. And I'm going to read something here that I got that I think it's it's a real piece of wisdom. Again, for those who, and I pray this message gets out eventually to to all the younger people and everyone else within within the scope of their life, that they can actually have children. I want to also say again as well that I understand that there are people who, for a number of different reasons, that they either cannot have children, they cannot for one reason or another. And I want to say that, what I'm talking about, absolutely no condemnation to you at all. No judgment to you at all. I do understand that there are people who cannot for several, for many different reasons. But some people make up reasons that are not right. I mean, they make up like you're talking about, or like how when I was young, and they're like, don't have children, don't buy any homes, don't buy any houses because, well, Jesus is coming back. That kind of thing, right? Jesus is coming back any moment now. So, don't plan to have children. And so I think that's a bad reason. I think that people who actually followed that advice, I think would be, a lot of them would be regretting that now. But I did some research about people who want to have more children, especially men. It's a different thing when it comes to women, but especially men. And I want to put this out there because for those who are listening to this and you're not married, you don't have anybody, in mind right now, or you're looking, or you're in the dating scene, I'm going to read something especially for you guys. And this is an awesome piece of wisdom. Psychologists and sociologists who study family planning often find that the number of children a man wants correlates with several specific psychological markers. Number one, tolerance for chaos versus need for control. One of the most immediate psychological indicators is a person's relationship with order and predictability. Desiring a large family usually requires a tolerance for unpredictability, noise, and constantly shifting environment. A man who wants a bustling household is often highly adaptable and comfortable with a certain degree of structural chaos. Structural chaos. Another one is desiring a smaller family and no children often correlates with a higher need for personal space, quiet and tightly controlled, and a predictable daily routine. Number two is the Big Five personality traits. Research utilizing the Big Five personality model shows distinct patterns regarding family size preferences, extroversion, and agreeableness. Men who score higher in these traits often desire more children. Extroverts naturally draw energy from active, highly social environments, making the idea of a house full of people appealing rather than draining. Agreeableness aligns with a strong drive toward nurturing and cooperative family dynamics. Openness to experience. Interestingly, very high scores in quote-unquote openness, which correlates with unconventional thinking, a desire for frequent travel, and highly independent creative pursuits, are sometimes linked to a desire for fewer children, as an individual may prioritize personal freedom and autonomy over traditional family structures. I got two more points here. Number three is community versus individualism. The number of children a man desires heavily reflects where he falls on the spectrum of individualism versus community orientation. Wanting many children often points to a community-centric worldview. It suggests a man who values legacy, deep interconnected support systems, and the idea of building a mini-society under his own roof. A preference for smaller family often leans toward individualism, where a man might prioritize deep, focused investments of time and resources into just one or two children, or prioritize his own personal and professional autonomy. You were talking, Bluebird, there about that woman who prioritizes career over children.
Yeah.
And there's one more. Emotional and future optimism. This is what we're just talking about too. There is also a strong element of forward-looking optimism involved. Deciding to have multiple children requires a baseline belief in one's own resilience and capacity to provide, emotionally, physically, and financially. It suggests a psychological confidence in navigating long-term commitments and weathering the inevitable challenges that come with raising dependents. Ultimately, while you can't read a man's entire mind based solely on the size of the family he envisions, it does offer a very accurate read on his priorities, his adaptability, and what kind of daily environment makes him feel fulfilled. Yeah, so there you go, Bluebird. And I read that. I wasn't thinking about reading this before, but when you were talking about this stuff and that came up in my mind, I thought, for those who are listening to this, both now and in the future, watching the replays and the clips from this video, know that certain kinds of men that don't want children follow, or want little to no children, usually fall into a psychological groove as opposed to another kind of men who wants more children. They fall in like the control freak versus those who have tolerance for chaos. So what would you rather marry? What would you rather have a relationship with? A control freak or someone who has a tolerance for, as it says, as I read here, a certain degree of structural chaos? Because children can be like that, right? It's like a nursery environment. It's like a controlled chaos, a fun chaos. You see, and so you mentioned Bluebird about the birth control pill, and from what I understand, from what I've read, that the birth control pill does a lot more to a woman than they know. Changing the actual chemistry of their body and their brain, and changing the type of men they would be attracted to. Like, that's serious business. What do you think, Bluebird?
Absolutely, it is. And when I had no idea that any of that. I hadn't heard any of that until I saw your video there. And I wouldn't doubt that it's true, because after I lost the baby, my boyfriend and I guess it must have been maybe a year, and we were split up. So, because I'd been off the pill by then for a while, for at least a year and a half. And we split up after that. And we had been together for 10 years until I got pregnant. We had been together for 10 years. And then after I lost the baby, we split up. So, I'm wondering if that's not what happened in my case. I don't know, but I was thinking about that when I heard your video.
So you're thinking about, like, he split up because of the pregnancy, or I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused.
No, not because of the pregnancy, but it just seemed like our whole relationship fell apart after I lost the baby. Like, everything just went chaos, just nothing. Everything went crazy.
So he couldn't take it. That's what you're saying?
Well, I don't know if he couldn't take it. I don't know. He was, he got very heavily into drugs, and I was not. So I'm not sure whether the pill had anything to do with me being attracted to him beforehand. And then when I was off the pill, maybe we just split up, because if it had anything to do with the chemistry between us, I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened, but we did split up shortly after we lost the baby. So
Seek the Lord said earlier, that's amazing. I think that was just right after I read that research there. Yeah, Bluebird. Yeah, you got to wonder, like, so I don't want to get too personal, so please put me in my place if I do. But I mean, I'm trying to help, other people that may be listening to this. So
go ahead.
This particular man you're talking about, did he want children? Like, was he someone who wanted, like, a family, a house full of children?
We never really, to be honest with you, we never really talked about it that much all those years. I did tell him when I was off the pill, and he seemed to be okay with having children. I mean, he didn't say, no, don't do that. He seemed to be okay, and he was looking forward to being a father. Neither one of us.
It wasn't really his choice, though, right? It was basically your choice.
No, yeah. Well, yeah, it wasn't. He didn't tell me to go off the pill. He didn't say, let's start a family. It was my choice. I talked to him about it. I told him that I'm going off the pill. So I said, I could very well get pregnant. Right? Are you okay with that? And he was okay with that. And when I found out that I was pregnant, he was telling everybody. He told all his friends, and everybody said, congratulations, everybody, and everything seemed so good, but, he seemed to be looking forward to it.
So it sounds like a man who didn't have that much direction in life.
Well, he came from a family that was, I wouldn't say rich, but very wealthy. They did well. They had several homes in Florida, and they had a beautiful home in Font Hill, and they had everything that you could want. They were pretty much, I would say, upper middle class. Not even that. They were just below under rich. So he grew up in a family like that. There was him and his brother, and they both had, good lives as children. I mean, I don't know what their family life was like, but they seemed to have everything that they wanted. So they came from a good financially good family, if anything. I don't think the parents were not alcoholics or anything like that I know of. They were not druggies.
But he was, though.
Well, he was, yeah. Oh, yes, he was. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe he had a little bit too good then.
Well, that's possible too. That's possible. His brother, though, turned out the opposite.
Let me ask you. Again, I know I might be going a little bit too personal here. We didn't mention any names, so otherwise I wouldn't be asking questions like this. But let me guess. He would be either the first or the last child. Let me guess.
First.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first. He was the first. Yeah.
I find this to be the case. Like, not every first, of course, not every last child is like that. But I find that a lot of times, if you're the first or if you're the last child, it's usually that kind. It's the first child or the last child is more likely. Please don't misread me or misunderstand me. I'm just saying more likely to be spoiled as a child, and because of that, they are more likely to go in a direction that's not really healthy for them.
Well, he was spoiled rotten by his grandmother.
Okay.
His grandmother, the lady that bought us the house, he was spoiled rotten by her. Oh yeah, definitely. Incidentally, he has died. Well, he didn't die. He was murdered. He was killed. Yeah, in Hamilton. So, unfortunately, but.
So. Yeah, sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Well, it was drug related.
But that was it sounds like long after you were with him, though.
Oh yes, this was long after. This was after we had split up. This was about 10 years after we had split up when that happened. And he came back to me several times and he begged me. He said, please, I want to get back with you. I want to get back. And he would come over and he would cry and he would hug me. And I said, look, I can't do this until you get off the drugs. I mean, his arms, the inside of his arms were raw like hamburger from the needles. I said, I can't get back with you like that. I said, yeah, I would get back with you if you get off of those drugs. Yes, maybe we can make a go of it. But no, he just couldn't do it. And it ended up in his death. Unfortunately, yeah.
Before we get too far off the track of this subtopic, I heard something, and this kind of goes along the lines of what I was reading there earlier. I heard that, and this is especially for those young ladies that may be watching this. I heard that you can tell a lot about a man based on the amount of children that they want, what they plan to have. You can tell a lot about them.
I wouldn't doubt it.
You know, like the 4 points that I read there: tolerance for chaos versus need for control. So there, we have the difference between someone who has a tolerance for a they call it a degree of structural chaos versus basically a control freak or the need for control. So a man who would want a larger family would be a man who's more tolerant for chaos versus a control freak. And then the second one is the big 5 personality traits: extroversion, agreeableness, community driven versus individualism. Like, like a man who either doesn't want children or wants few children would be more like individualistic as opposed to a community focused man. And future optimism too. Strong element of forward-looking optimism is involved. Deciding to have multiple children requires a baseline belief in one's own resilience and capacity to provide. So that's what I'm talking about. So I heard that you can tell a lot about a man based on the number of children they want. So if you meet a man who wants more children, that is an indicator that they have more confidence in their own resilience and the capacity to provide, and in the confidence of being a good leader or a good father, as opposed to somebody who's doesn't want any children, or doesn't want any, or little, or whatever, right? It makes a big difference. So for any of the young ladies that are watching this, if you want a good man, now that word good, I understand, is subjective. Good to one person can be different than good to another person. But good meaning that a man who has a high degree of future optimism about himself and about what he produces, about a man who's more community focused as opposed to just an individualistic kind of egotistical man, a man who is more extroverted and is more agreeable as opposed to disagreeable, a man who has a little bit more tolerance versus a control freak. So if you want to have a good man, meaning a man of more tolerance, more easier to get along with, more community driven, more confident in their own resilience and their own leadership skills and their own capacity to provide, then make sure you find a man who wants a lot of children.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
You
I wish I'd known that when I was younger. Wish I'd have known that. I wish I wasn't taught that. Nobody told me that. Never thought about it.
Really? Yeah.
Nope.
If you look it up, it's really interesting. Like, you can look it up. And there's the opposite too. Like, there's women who want little to no children have certain personality traits as well. You can tell a lot about a woman if you have a woman who wants more children, they have certain traits, as opposed to someone who wants none or a few. You can tell a lot psychologically. So I think that's a very, very important. And I really, if nothing else, for any of the youngsters that may be watching this, both now and in the future, and I hope this gets around to everyone, please keep that in mind. Like, what do you want for a relationship? Do you want somebody who's tolerant, more easy to get along with? Do you want somebody who knows they're a good leader? Or they're at least confident in their own resilience. If you want someone like that, then definitely make sure you vet your choices and boil it right down to men who want more as opposed to less children. So, Bluebird, like right now, you said you're 70 years old, you have no children, but you said in the earlier years you didn't really think much of it. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, well, okay, well, yeah, maybe I should clarify that a little bit, because when I was young, I mean, before I was a teenager, when I was little, I always wanted to have children, always wanted to. And then when I got into the teenage years, it was a boy thing. I wanted to go out with boys. And one thing led to another, and then I wanted to be more familiar with boys, so to speak, and that's what led me up to the pill. So when I went on the pill, I was free to do what I wanted without worrying about getting pregnant. Even though I wanted to get pregnant, I wanted to have a family. I thought I got lots of time to do that. I don't have to worry about it right now. I want to go and have my fun. And I'll start a family later. That was what I was thinking. And it's stupid. Even my friends. So, I mean, there's people now that I know that are having children and they're not living for the Lord, but they're having children, and so how much more is it for me, for somebody who is a godly person or living the right way, I should say that, and wants to have children. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was completely off track. But
I think Hubert's nailed it here earlier. He said the feminist movement has tricked many women.
Oh, yeah, that's a bad thing. That's one of the worst things that's ever happened. I tell people that. I tell people right straight out. I say, I am not a feminist, never have been, never will be. I'm against it 100%. I said, a man should be the head of the household, and the woman should be the one that has the children, stays home with the children. And I say that. And people look at me like, and I said,
you know what? Oh, go ahead.
No, I just said that, and I said I can say that because I'm a woman. But I said if I was a man and I said that, they would crucify me. If I was a man and said that, right?
I think that some of these people that have a very negative view on that whole setup that you spoke of, I think that it's probably because they have never really met a really good man. Like someone that would really be a good father and leader. Someone that would really be a good, as you would call it, like the head of the house, a really good one that you could trust in that traditional sense. So I think that feminism kind of, it stripped away the traditional roles of the sexes, as we read of in the scriptures. And so therefore it brings men down, so to speak, and then brings women up, but not really. It kind of brings women down too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what we have here in the live chat before we get too far here. Calamento says, Christopher, are some people predestined to not have children or not want many children? Oh boy. Almost sounds like a trick question, Calamentos. Yeah. I said in the beginning, I said this in the other video that we did as well, that Bluebird watched, and Bluebird, you said that video blessed you so much about the we're going to be extinct if we don't do something about this. That's
yeah.
So I said it then, and I said it even in this video, that what we're talking about here, I'm not saying that everybody, this is not for everybody. There's a lot of people it just wouldn't fit because of a lot of people are in situations and circumstances that it just, I don't want to be overly simplistic about it, and I don't want to put a blanket over everything, so to speak. Like, I don't want to say everybody, I believe that 100% of 100 people should be like this. No. But what I am saying, and I do believe is 100% true, is the numbers don't lie. And we have people that are pointing out the fact that Christianity, Western civilization as we know it, the church population is going down, and it won't be long before it's done. And if the greatest evangelism ever is building your family. What good is it if you evangelize someone who's not there? You have to have people there in the first place. This is why I think that, the first, literally the first commandment that God ever gave anybody was be fruitful and multiply. And that is the greatest, because if it wasn't for that, none of us listening to us right now, none of us would be here. That's the foundation of our existence. They say it's like a 2.1 children per couple on average. It has to be in order just to maintain the population. But there are so many, what they say, like the native population, the Aboriginals in North America are going to be extinct in very short period of time. Just a matter of a few hundred years. Can you imagine? Can you imagine coming back to Earth or looking to Earth, and saying, well, wow, these people are no longer there. No longer there. South Koreans, no longer there. Christianity, as we know it today, no longer there. Right? Why? Because of this whole culture that we've been marinating in. Calementos brought up a good point here, saying that, question, are some people predestined? That's the most complicated topic to ever get into. As I've always said this.
That's a good point. That's a good question, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's predestined in the sense of either you can't for medical reasons, and it's something you believe that God is behind somehow, or predestined in the sense that you don't want to because of circumstances out of your control, or predestined in the sense of you don't want to because of the way that you've been programmed by the culture. You see? So
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. I don't know if this actually happens today. It probably doesn't, but if it does, so a woman is in the hospital having a baby, and they say to her, or they say to the family, the husband, whoever is standing there, your wife could die if she has this child, if she's having the child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the mother, and they're going to say, like, who are you going to save, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, if that were me laying there on that table and I'm giving birth to a baby, I'm going to say, let my baby live. Let me go.
Yeah,
go.
you've lived already. Your baby hasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I would do. I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you think about situations like that?
This is another, we're getting into very tough questions, and I really appreciate that from Calementos and from you, Bluebird. What do I think about that? Well, first of all, I must say this. I'm not a medical professional, so what I'm saying is not medical advice. Please, if you're in that situation, if anybody's in that situation, get professional medical advice and use some really good critical thinking skills. Every situation is different. I don't want to, the more I learn, the more I figure out that things are a whole lot more complicated than you originally thought, right? So things can get super complicated. I get that. So don't take what I say as like so-called gospel truth for everyone. But I will say this. Many times in my experience, medical professionals can be more on the negative as opposed to the positive. I've seen that. What I mean is, like, they can say, and I've seen this personally, where they can say, this is going to be the outcome. And it's a negative outcome. And they say it with confidence. And it doesn't happen that way. In other words, they can be wrong, right? So I think that there's, you have to take it with a grain of salt. If someone's in a position like that, Bluebird, don't make rash decisions. That's all I got to say about that.
Right. I'm just thinking, like, from my own point of view, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I'm just saying, from my point of view, I mean, I would think that any good parent would want their child to live if they have the choice to, either save my life or the baby's life. I mean,
yeah, a good parent would. I agree. A good parent would want to, any good parent would want to see their child succeed instead of them. They would want to see their child be healthy instead. Like, a good parent, if a good parent has a child that's sick, for example, a good parent would say, oh, I wish I could take that sickness for my child. Right?
Yeah.
So like you're saying, like, if you're in a situation, God forbid this ever happens to anybody listening to this, it's a horrible situation. But, if you have to choose, again, I don't want to.
I know what I'd pick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just me, though. I mean, I'm not anybody else.
I just want to be as careful as possible because, again, I want to say, I want to be as responsible as possible for everything that comes out of my mouth anyway, and to make sure that I don't mislead anybody in any way. So there could be many factors that I don't know about. Okay, so please, disclaimer. That's why I say you'd have to use some really good critical thinking skills. But I agree. Yeah, a good parent would rather suffer for their child. I know of a man who lost his child and lost his grandparent. When he lost his child, he wished that he would go with his child, or at least instead of his child. Whereas when he lost his grandparent, he wished that his grandparent would stay with him here on earth instead. You know what I mean? Like, there's the opposite, because it's one end of life and the other end of life, right?
Right.
Let's see what else we have here in the live chat. Chipmunk says, hello, Bluebird. And Chipmunk says, shalom, everyone. Had no phone to use for a bit. All right. Well, shalom, and blessings multiplied to you and yours, Chipmunk. Good to see you. Good to see that you found some device anyway to watch. Good to see you, as always. Hope you're doing awesome. And Chipmunk says, hello to you as well, Bluebird.
Hi, Bluebird.
Chipmunk says, hello to Bluebird.
Hello, Bluebird. Hello, Chipmunk. I'm just being silly.
Calamento says, Bluebird, do you think your boyfriend's spoiled upbringing had him gotten involved in drugs and all those troubles, etc.?
I think it could have something to do with it. It could. But I don't know, because his parents were never into that kind of thing. His parents weren't even, they might have been maybe social drinkers, from time to time, but they were never into drugs like that. And so, yeah, it could have had something to do with it. I'm not sure. They say that these things can happen. So I don't know for sure, but it's possible.
From my experience, if you go to any person who is not on the good side of life, they're almost always either the first child or the last child. And because of that, they were probably spoiled as a child, in my own experience.
For sure.
Like how many people, how many know of a person personally that you could say this person really didn't make much of his life or her life. They really were more of a burden than a blessing, and they ended up, being more of a burden. They ended up being addicted to substances or anything, like things like that, and in passing away without much of a contribution to society. How many of you know of somebody like that? Like, serious question for all of you who are listening to this right now. Serious question. How many of you know personally of somebody like that, and they're not a first child or a last child? Like, I'm talking about somebody who's okay. Let me ask you a question, Bluebird. This man you're talking about, did he have a criminal record?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm talking about someone who had a criminal record, somebody who's involved in a lot of things he or she shouldn't have been involved in, and didn't really make much of their lives. Please let me know in the live chat. Do you know, all of you? I'm appealing to the masses now. I'm appealing to all of the public. Do you know of anybody who fits that profile and they're not the first or the last child? And this is part and parcel of the whole, lesser children versus more as well, because when you have lesser children, 1, 2, 3, then it is, again, not always, but it is likely that one or all of those children will be spoiled. And it will cause them a lot of trouble in their life. And most of these people, they could live their entire lives. They can live to be 90 years old, and they would never really realize why they're in that position that they're in. They would never really come to the realization that, you know what, I'm here. Speaking of predestined, I would say more of a determined thing there, Calamentos. There's this determinism thing where the environment that they were raised in kind of set them up for a fall. Instead of teaching them to be the good, they were taught to be served as opposed to serving. They were taught to be the object of attention as opposed to the one who gives. They were taught to take more than give. They were taught that, that the world revolves around them, basically,
Well, I was in that situation myself. I mean, when I grew up, I had everything. I had everything I wanted. Growing up as a child, grandparents had good business, and my mother was a art teacher, and my dad was doing good, and we all had a pretty much happy household for quite a number of years, and I pretty much had everything I wanted. So I grew up in this little world where I thought nothing would ever change, and I never had any chores. Never had any chores to do. Nothing. Everything was done for me. I didn't have to do anything. But
see, this is what I think is one of the cons. If you were to make a list of pros and cons when it comes to having little to no children, especially 1, 2, let's say under 4 children. Seriously, under 4 children. This would be in the cons, where it's like a con would be 1, most likely 2 or more will be spoilt, and they will not reach their full potential as a person. It's like a tree that's in the middle of a windy field grows the biggest and the strongest. You ever see these trees in the middle of a field where they're like massive. The trunks on them are huge. Because they have weathered, literally, pun intended. They have weathered all of the adversity that's come their way, and it's made them stronger. Whereas you have a little straggly little tree in the middle of a forest, it's like barely able to survive. but they're sheltered so much. You know, they're not really put out there and taught how to survive the stress of life. You know, they're not.
You learn quickly. When you get out there in the real world, you do learn quickly, regardless.
If you take a tree like that and put them out, if you take a tree literally and put it out in the middle of a windy field, it will probably break. You know.
I'm still going.
Well, I'm not saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking generally, but I do think that this is the problem, because when you have. When a family has more than, say, 4 or more children, they have more than that. And again, I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying most, not all. Most, not all. The children are, they have to learn how to share attention. They have to learn. You know what? You're not getting attention from mommy now because your siblings need it. You're not getting everything you want because your siblings need it. You know, you're not getting, you're not, you know, you have to help. You have to serve because the community that you're in right now needs it. So a lot of people didn't grow up under that. You know, I have heard, please, I'm not saying this is truth or fact. It might be, but I have heard that every canonized saint of the church, there was more of them were the 4th child. Like if you're to take all the saints, all the canonized, you know, saints of the church, throughout the past almost 2,000 years, and you're to say, okay, was this one the first child, you know, 2nd, 5th, 10th? What is it? I have heard that more of them are number 4 than anything else. Why would that be? I think it could be, and I'm just speculating. If it's true, I think it could be because if a couple decides to have 4 children, it's likely that they're going to have more. And now, so that 4th child, it may be number 4 out of 10, or number 4 out of 15, or number 4 out of 9, or number 4 out of 12. So that number 4, they're not number 1. So they're not spoiled, and they're not the last one. So they're not the baby of the family. They're number 4. So they have to learn that they're not the first or the second or the third. They're the 4th. So that gives them humility as well. They have to learn how to share. They have to learn how to serve. They have to learn how to be humble. They have to learn how to be patient. It's a necessity, given that the situation that they're in. But nowadays, in the West now, when you got people that are like, you know, they're only having 1 or 2 children or whatever the case is, what's that going to produce? Could that be why psychologically, why there's so much problem in this Western society as opposed to other people? And I know I have a book of a distant relative from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and this relative would write down the visitors that he would have come to his house, and I was really amused at the amount of families that would show up, and it's like almost every family was like 10 children, 12, 15. Almost everyone was, I would say, probably an average of 10 children. Almost everyone. I'm thinking, wow, look at that. Back in the quote unquote good old days in the 1800s. And look what we have now in society. How has society changed since the late 1800s? It's just sharing my thoughts. Let's see what we got here in the live chat. Calamento says, Christopher, what about Genghis Khan having many children just to expand his empire? another great question there, Calamentos. Is that a trick question? So, well, it's very, very clear in the scriptures. Children are the reward of the Lord. Children are a blessing from God. The greatest blessing you could ever receive, apart from perhaps salvation, is children. And, of course, God, the presence of God himself. But children, there are so many scriptures, so many, talking about that this is a seal or a sign of God's blessing. Likewise, the lack of children, and again, please, I don't want anybody listening to this, I don't want them to feel, if you have little or no children, please, please do take this in the best way possible, the most positive way. But the scriptures generally produce the idea that this is, I'm going to make it mild, it's really not a good thing, on many, many levels. So Genghis Khan, if God is God, and he was still on the throne in the days of Genghis Khan, then it just seems to me like he was blessed, very, very, very blessed. Whether he was a believer or not a believer, again, I don't think that God's blessings are limited to your belief. I don't think that God's blessings are limited, because, there are atheists out there that are blessed by God. It doesn't matter. They can say, I don't believe that God exists. Okay, it doesn't matter. God's still blessing you. You're getting blessed. Some of these guys are really blessed. This is part of grace, right? I mean, God's grace is his gift, not that you earned it by belief or whatever, but God just chose to raise Pharaoh up, which would include giving him the blessings of the riches and the power in the day, right? He chose to raise Pharaoh up, and that's very clear in the scriptures as well. So I don't know the spiritual condition of Genghis Khan. I don't know a whole lot about him. Whatever the case is, it seems to me like he was a very blessed man.
And there's a scripture there in Ecclesiastes, I think. It just reminds me of that scripture where it says the rain rains on the just and the unjust.
I think that's in Matthew, I think.
Is it Matthew? I thought there was something like that in Ecclesiastes too, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I thought it was in Ecclesiastes as well.
In the rain, the rain is, it's only in Matthew chapter 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm wrong.
See what happens is a lot of these guys, whether they're atheists or not, if they follow the Torah, whether they even know about it or believe in it, I don't think it really matters. If you follow the commandments of God, even without knowing about it, it's like the laws of the universe. It's like if you jump off a building, you're going to fall. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. Yeah. It's the law of God. If you exercise the laws of investment, for example, that's another thing that we read about in the scriptures, and investing. So if you got that going on, you might not even believe that God exists, but still he could bless you because of that. Because it's just like the laws of thermodynamics, laws of physics, laws of, the law of gravity, or anything like that, any kind of laws of nature, it doesn't require belief, right? What we talk about here doesn't really require that you believe. It doesn't matter. Actually, where do we have a command, thou shalt believe, in the Torah? Right? Where is that? I don't remember a commandment like that, thou shalt believe. So it's like God is saying, okay, this is the law, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, this is the law. And if you follow it, even if you don't know about it or you don't believe it, if you follow it, you'll be blessed, right? So some of these people, I think they are blessed because they follow the law, at least in certain ways. And so just like the law of physics. If they run into a brick wall, they're going to hurt. It doesn't matter whether they believe it or not, because it's God's law that is applicable, exclusive of belief. So, that could be the case with Genghis Khan. Again, I'm not sure too much. I don't know if anybody can even, and who can say for sure exactly where he is spiritually? Like, what did he really believe? Because his public persona could be something different than what he really believed privately. Chipmunk says, best advice a pastor gave in dating: don't date someone who doesn't serve others. Just that doesn't just mean that just doesn't mean you, but others. Yes. Thank you, Chipmunk. Very good. Thank you. Excellent. Chipmunk says, good quality is hard to find. Many go about dating by testing the water, so to speak. I never found a guy who didn't lie often. I didn't want to sign up for a lower quality, no ambitions, users. Okay, well, thank you for sharing, Chipmunk. Cubert says, this generation, for the first time in history, 53% of women, for the first time in history, you said. Wow. 53% of women consider themselves feminists, and the highest before this generation was 23. Chipmunk says, the second I would tell a guy I was waiting till marriage, it was see you later. Women are taught to be a certain way to attract a guy. Yeah, that's the way it is in the culture today there, Chipmunk. There are some guys out there that are not like that. I've seen it myself, and you've seen videos. I'm not sure if I've seen videos of guys that have been approached by girls, and they're like that. They would refuse. Chipmunk says, I never had a desire because I never felt stability until my 30s. I couldn't afford to have a child. I surely didn't want to be a single mother. Too many sign up for marriage and get screwed over. Health problems, upbringing, society. How many men in my dating experiences are my reasonings? I got sick of hearing I'm this guy's dream girl, but still get lied to and disrespected. Too many settle for crappy relationships, in my opinion. I wasn't willing to do that. I've been told many times I'd be a great mother. Wow. Well, sorry to hear about your experiences there in the past, Chipmunk. I pray that God would turn the tables for you, and you'll find the blessings that you're looking for.
I don't know. I maybe shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Don't get Chipmunk angry, okay?
I hope I don't want to make anybody angry. But I am thinking myself, because I was thinking in the same situation at one point in time. And looking back, I'm thinking better to be a single mom than no mom at all. I'm just saying that. I'm just throwing that out there. Because that's kind of what I realize that it's best. Of course, it's always better to have a father for your child. But I know a lot of single moms, and they do have children, and they're doing, from what I can see, they're doing a pretty darn good job. At least they didn't have an abortion.
And at least they have a child, and it may
not have a child.
It may not be the best situation, but it's better than nothing at all.
Absolutely. And the thing is too, if you wait until you can afford a child, you'll never have a child. Because that's
a good point.
You trust God to supply your needs for a child. You just, if you have to, you trust the Lord, and He will supply the needs somehow, some way.
Yep, I totally agree. Seeing that it is the first and the greatest commandment, it's the first thing that God is, this is the first thing is on, is my first things first. I do think that if we focus on that, God will provide. I have seen, I personally know a large family who started their family without anything.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have a lot of children, and along the way, there was bumps in the road, but now they have a lot of children, and now God has blessed a great amount, So, it's like, do you wait, do you put the, do you wait or do you just move?
Move.
like we're at the, and this is a great point, and thank you, Bluebird, and thank you, Chipmunk, as well, because I'm hoping and praying that everyone listening to this in the future and even presently would be so blessed by what we say here. You look at the story of the children of Israel cornered at the Red Sea. They have been told by Moses that they're going to the promised land, that they're set free, and that Pharaoh has let them go. And lo and behold, they're cornered at the Red Sea. Sea's behind them, and in front of them, I can just imagine the entire horizon filled with the army of Egypt. Horses and chariots, and here comes Pharaoh with all of his army. What do we do now? It says that they cried unto the Lord. They did what all of us would probably do. They prayed. Like, we're done. We have no finances. We got no resources, and now we're surrounded. What do we do? And God's response was absolutely phenomenal. I love it so much. I even wrote a song about it. Lord willing, I'll have to sing that song sometime. I've never sang it yet. It's called Go Forward, and it's about that part of the scriptures. So they called unto God, and God said, why you cry to me? You go forward. Go forward. Trust me. You stretch out your hand over the sea. You divide the sea. You're waiting for me to do? What are you waiting for?
Mm-hmm.
You waiting for everything to look perfect? You do it. As you move, I will steer you. As you move, I will provide for you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. True.
Yeah, there a lot of people, especially today in today's economy as well, they're like, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. But hey, I mean, God gave you first of all, he gave you a commandment. Not only that, but he gave you the biological ability. At least, I understand there are some people who can't. And, my heart really goes. If anybody wants prayer when it comes to this kind of stuff, please send me an email, ChristopherEnoch@proton.me, ChristopherEnoch@proton.me. Let me know. I want to pray for you. Both my wife and I, we have a history of praying for people that have been trying to have children, and they were able to miraculously conceive. Praise God. But if anybody, God forbid, is listening to this, if you're in that position, please send me an email. Let me know, and we'll pray for you. But God gave you a commandment. He gave you the drive. He gave you the hardware and the software to be fruitful and multiply. He gave you the drive for it. He gave you everything. It's just that today in society, we're perverting the drive into just for pleasure instead of purpose. And this is where we always go wrong. When you go after just pleasure, it's no problem with just, if you're going to go after something for pleasure, pleasure is not bad as long as it's within the framework of what God has, ordained. God gives us pleasure too, right? It's a wonderful blessing, to have the pleasure, not the pain. But at the same time, if we sign up for the pleasure and we just write off the responsibilities, we write off the purpose of what God even made that pleasure for, then what in the world? That is, I have to watch my words, but yeah, it's. I think this is, and the same thing goes with food as well. We read about it in Hebrews chapter 12, where Esau was considered to be a fornicator, but not in a sexual sense. He was a fornicator with food. You might say, no, well, that sounds really, talk about, weird. No, he was a fornicator in the sense that he valued the pleasure of the food over the purpose of God. He sold his birthright, which would be God's purpose and God's will, just for the sake of pleasure. Right? And so he was considered to be. So the point is this, that in God's sight, you can abuse food as much as you can abuse sexual activity. You can abuse food. You can eat just for pleasure instead of purpose. Instead of eating to be, there's this saying, right? We don't live to eat. We eat to live. So there's a lot of people who live to eat, and so unfortunately, they suffer health consequences because of that. So again, they put the pleasure of eating over just the real purpose of it, which is nutrition, right? And they suffer in the long run because of that. So if we eat for nutrition first, nothing wrong with eating for pleasure, as long as we keep it within certain bounds and certain control within the boundaries of God. We don't overeat. We eat in an environment of control. It's fine. But when we put pleasure first as the primary reason for eating is for pleasure, then we can get into a lot of trouble. And I think that's what's going on with people when it comes to sexual activity. If they put pleasure as the primary thing over the actual reason God created it, then, I do believe you could get into, you may not feel it now, but Bluebird has expressed that now that she's 70, she really, really feels it.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, but you'll have to excuse me for just a minute. I have to leave. I'll be right back. Excuse me.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's Bluebird go there for a minute. Let me see what else we have in the live chat. Calamento says, what about a child who is neither first nor last, but was favored and spoiled? Well, that's possible too. Yeah. We always, I try to, include all the nuances in it that, when I say first or last, again, I'm not talking about most, but not every situation. So yeah, is it possible for someone to have 6 children and the 4th one is spoiled? Sure, that's possible. No, yeah, certainly is. I'm just saying it's more likely for the first one or the last one to be spoiled. Thank you. Thank you, Calamentos. Calamento says, Christopher, I love children, love big family. This verse makes me wonder. Sirach 16, verses 1 through 4. Are you able to copy and paste that, Calamentos? Earlier, Chipmunk says, I can respect that. Strong women who do the right thing. Yeah, amen, amen. Thank you, Chipmunk. It's amazing. And Cubert says, powerful. Yeah, thank you, Cuberts. Calamento says, I'm going to pull, see, Bluebird is back here.
I'm back.
You're back. Okay. All right. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I got some, let me see, some people were asking you questions, giving you comments. But first of all, we got Calamentos says, Christopher, what about the same people who say, well, let God's will be done, and they won't stretch their hand over the sea, so to speak? What if they just stand at the water and say, let God's will be done? Well, yeah, good one. It's another one. It's another good one, Calamentos. You're full of good ones, good questions.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
So what I would say to that, Calamentos, I would say dream on. God gave you a hand to stretch over the waters, so to speak. Okay, God gave you the ability to walk and to go forward. And if you say just let God's will be done, I don't think that it's. I think that you should do everything you can. That you can do without stressing yourself out too much. Of course, God doesn't want you to get to stress too much about things either. But at least if you're moving. You're moving. And so that, God can use you. As they always say, you cannot steer a parked car. Mm-hmm. You want God to steer you? Move. Mm-hmm. You want God to provide? Move. You want God, it's not like provide first. Well, sometimes, there are certain situations that you need provision, but we got to move, right? Once we move, then God can provide. Either he can do it supernaturally for you, or he can speak to other people to help you. The community can help. Angels, anything, it's amazing, what God can do if you move. That's awesome. Thank you, Calamentos. So Bluebird, let me see what else we have here. We have
excuse me, but I'm sorry again. My phone is going to die very soon. I'm going to have to go to another phone. So can you just bear with me? Can we do that? Okay. Before my phone dies?
You want to go to the other phone now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you go, and I'll bring you back as soon as you're done there. You got the link.
Okay, yeah, because I'm very low now, so I'm just going to grab the other phone then.
Don't go too low.
Okay. No, I'm not.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Chipmunk is enjoying. That's awesome. Calamentos says, verse 1. So this would be Sirach, chapter 16, verse 1. Do not desire a multitude of worthless children, or do not rejoice in ungodly offspring. If they multiply, do not rejoice in them, unless the fear of the Lord is in them. Number 3, verse 3. Do not trust in their survival, or rely on their numbers, for one can be better than 1,000, and to die childless is better than to have ungodly children. And verse 4, for through one intelligent person, a city can be filled with people, but through a clan of outlaws, it becomes desolate. Okay. Very, very interesting, Calamentos. Very good. Bluebird, I see in the back room. Are you set up on the other phone now? Give me a thumbs up if you are. Give me a thumbs down if you're not set up on the other phone. Okay. Not yet. Chipmunk says Bluebird is a sweetheart with a heart and a bluebird. All right. And Chipmunk says good points. All right. Well, thank you, Chipmunk. Bluebird can hear, I think. But she's just not on here. In the Bluebird, you can just use that link that I sent you, and if you use that same link on the other phone, it should work. Yeah, Calamentos. Very good. Like, again, as I read what she put up here, I really appreciate it, and that this is the reason why I say there are so many nuances. There's so many different. There are so many different circumstances that a person can be in. So, yeah. You know what I'm wondering, Calamentos? I'm wondering this thing here in verse 1, do not desire a multitude of worthless children. Sometimes this word worthless, sometimes what that means is Belial, sons of Belial. Now, I know that that's from the Greek and not from the Hebrew, so that'd be hard to manage. But I mean, that'd be hard to look into that. But perhaps in the Greek you might be able to find something like that as well, if you can look at that. Because if that's the case, if that verse talks about sons of Belial as quote unquote worthless children, that could take on another whole dynamic. In other words, that could go into the spiritual side of things, where it's like it's not necessarily talking about biological children, but rather spiritual. I'm gonna bring Bluebird. I'm gonna bring you back on anyway. It seems like you might be having a little bit of trouble with it. So it looks like you're still on your old device. So are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still on your old device?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll see how it goes. So you got another one. Okay. Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it won't take the password. This phone, and I wonder if I.
Okay. Yeah. That's fine. How much you got left there on the phone? You got
20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay, that should last a while. Chipmunk says I should yell hello, Chipmunk. All right. Excuse me, not Calamentos.
Hello, Chipmunk.
I see the Q and Qbert says, thank you for sharing, Sister Bluebird. She is a sweetheart. She's back. Okay, yeah, she's back. All right.
I don't know for how long, but I'm back. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, is there anything else on your heart, Bluebird, that you would like to share? And I want you, if you like, I know you expressed this before, like you want to pass your knowledge to the new generation. And this may, who knows, like maybe this video can be saved and copied for many generations to come. And I pray it is. So what advice would you give the newer generations?
Well, I would say find a good man if you're a woman, find a good woman if you're a man, and don't wait too long to do it. That's, I mean, you've pretty much covered everything there is to when you're looking for a good man, or if a man's looking for a good woman. I think that's the most important thing, because even if you want to be single and free for a while, there's going to come a day, if you live long enough, that you're going to regret it. I mean, I can't say that for everybody, of course, but there may come a day when you will wish that you had, and you won't be able to go back. So it's something really, I think you need to consider very seriously while you're young enough to do something about it. Really. And don't get sidetracked by going out and having a good time and partying and ending up with the wrong people like I did. Waste of time. I mean, I believe that the Lord has given me, a lot of those years back in a sense, in a way. I have had many blessings since then, but I still wasted a lot of time. A lot of time was wasted foolishly. So, I mean, I would hope that the younger people, if they're listening to this, not to do that, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Not a bit.
Well, sorry to hear about what you've been through, but I do hope and pray that your message will help everyone, so that they'll have a better life.
Yeah, for sure. Because, and I really can't blame anybody but myself. I mean, I made the decision I made. I have no one to blame for it but myself. So, I mean, I just I wouldn't want anybody to be in my shoes right now, because I certainly was never intending to be where I am right now. Never thought I'd ever be here where I am right now. But like, on the other hand, the Lord has blessed me through it all. I've seen many blessings, many, many, many blessings. It would take me a long time to go through them, but so he has blessed me. But I feel that if I had have followed his way when I was earlier, I would have been blessed even more. So that's about it, I guess, unless anybody has any questions.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Anybody have any other questions for Bluebird? I'll just go through the live chat here. And Calementos says the Greek word, from that passage is akreos, translation useless, unprofitable, or without utility. Okay. Yeah, so, I'm thinking that could mean a number of different things. So it's hard to draw a, conclusive definition to that. But thank you for sharing, Calementos. Chipmunk says, I love making people laugh. I laughed earlier. Okay. Yeah, well, that's great. It's great. You're doing a great job, Chipmunk. It's great. Calementos says, Christopher, how does this young generation figure out who's a good man or a good woman, worthy of being their husband or wife? Oh, these questions, take it easy on me. Okay. Take it easy on me. Okay. But it is a really good question. And I thought of the same thing as Bluebird was talking about this, because to one person, a good man might mean something completely different than to another person. You might have somebody who might say, oh yeah, I have always chosen, I thought were good men, but they weren't. And there's always the same mistake over and over and over again. So how do you start out on the wrong foot? Or how do you start out on the right foot, I should mean, not the wrong.
How do you start out on the wrong foot? Follow me. That's starting out on the wrong foot.
Yeah, there you go. Follow Missy Slim Dog. In case you, in case you didn't get it earlier, Bluebird, her day alias is Bluebird. Her night alias is Missy Slim Dog.
My day job is Bluebird. My night job is Missy Slim Dog.
Okay. As long as you're not breaking Torah, you're fine. You're all good.
Right.
Okay. So how do you know a good man, and how do you know what a good woman is? I feel like really this deserves another whole live stream, but I'll try to make it really, I'll try to be like the person in the supermarket that provides a little tiny toothpick sample of the full course meal. So, what I read earlier, I think that really falls. And I think maybe what I should do is there's 4 points here, and I think I should read them over again, just for those who just came in on the last hour or so. And for those others that maybe you want to hear this again. Because I heard that you can tell a lot about a man by the number of children he wants. And so I started researching, is this true? Do we have evidence to support this? And I found out that, yeah, there's a lot. So number one, tolerance for chaos versus need for control. One of the most immediate psychological indicators is a person's relationship with order and predictability. Desiring a large family usually requires a high tolerance for unpredictability, for noise, and a constantly shifting environment. A man who wants a bustling household is often highly adaptable and comfortable with a certain degree of structural chaos. Desiring a smaller family or no children often correlates with a higher need for personal space and quiet and a tightly controlled, predictable daily routine. So that's number one. So number one is, if quote unquote good to you means a tolerant man versus someone who wants control, then what you're going to look for is a man who wants more children, not less. Number two, the big five personality traits. Research utilizing the quote-unquote big five personality model shows distinct patterns regarding family size preferences, extroversion, and agreeableness. Men who score higher in these traits often desire more children. Extroverts normally draw energy from highly social environments, making the idea of a full house of people appealing rather than draining. Agreeableness aligns with a strong drive toward nurturing and cooperative family dynamics. And then openness to experience. So on the other hand, very high scores in quote unquote openness, which correlates with unconventional thinking, a desire for frequent travel, and highly independent creative pursuits, are sometimes linked to a desire for fewer children, as the individual may prioritize personal freedom and autonomy over traditional family structures. So number two is, if you're looking for, if good to you means a man who is more community focused, more agreeable as opposed to disagreeable, more of an extrovert versus an introvert. If that is good, if that is what you define as good, then you're looking for a man who wants more children as opposed to less. Number three, worldview, community worldview, or individualism. The number of children a man desires heavily reflects where he falls on the spectrum of individualism versus community orientation. Wanting more children often points to a community-centric worldview. It suggests a man who values legacy, deeply interconnected support systems, and the idea of building a mini-society under his own roof. The preference for a smaller family often leans towards individualism, where a man might prioritize deep, focused investments of time and resources into just one or two children, or prioritize his own personal or professional autonomy. Number four, emotional and future optimism. There's also a strong element of forward-looking optimism involved. Deciding to have multiple children requires a baseline belief in one's own resilience and capacity to provide emotionally, physically, and financially. It suggests a psychological confidence in navigating long-term commitments and weathering the inevitable challenges that come with raising dependents. Ultimately, while you can't read a man's entire mind based solely on the size of the family he envisions, it does offer a very accurate read on his priorities, his adaptability, and what kind of daily environment makes him feel fulfilled. So, the bottom line is, if quote unquote good to you means more of a community focused man and more of a optimist, especially when it comes to the future, and more confidence and resilience, then you're looking for a man who wants more children as opposed to less. Now, when it comes to the other side of the coin, what makes a good wife? I think the scriptures really paint out a really good picture there. Again, without going into too much detail, this deserves its own live stream. You're looking for humility. You're looking for somebody who's willing to trust your leadership if you're a man. You're looking for someone who is, well, I think that all women to a certain degree have a built-in innate desire for nurturing. And this nurturing, of course, would, and this is the motherly instinct, right? So that, that should be a consideration as well. Commitment, big one, right? Big one. You don't want someone who's just going to be all over the, from one corner of the field to the other. You want someone who's really focused on commitment. That's what I would say, Colomentals in a nutshell. Chipmunk says to Bluebird, I can agree with that, Bluebird. Things we wish we knew as a kid.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Chipmunk says how they treat others is a big one. Amen. That's a big one too. Yeah, exactly. It's good. Thank you, Chipmunk. Seek the Lord says, thank you for sharing a personal story and powerful message, Bluebird. Oh, yes. Thank you, Bluebird, for sharing. That is, yeah, it's awesome. And I wish, I wish more people were like Bluebird in this way. That I really appreciate, Bluebird, your ability to look back and say, you know what, I should have done it differently, because a lot of people wouldn't do that.
Oh yeah, I definitely, I can't deny it. I made a mistake, made a big mistake. But I just hope and pray that, that this will help somebody else to not make the same mistakes that I did. So hopefully.
Chipmunk
And thank you
says,
for having me.
all right, well, that's awesome.
I
Thank
don't
you.
know how much longer I have, but
Thank you for coming. Yeah, we got a few more comments here from the live chat, and then we'll wrap it up. Chipmunk says, I was interested in a guy. It was right on the point of becoming a couple. His mother called him, and he started screaming at her. I said, nope. Any guy who would scream at his mother, who is doing nice things, is not a good catch in my book. Chipmunk says, I'd love to hear about blessings you mentioned. I love aha God moments, winks from God, blessings that come in odd ways, the stories that bring us goosebumps.
That is definitely bad news. A guy who treats his mother like garbage. I ended up with a guy like that too. And I saw what he did to his mother, and I thought, no, this is not a good situation. You're right about that, Chipmunk. That's a terrible, terrible person. You don't want to be involved with somebody like that.
Calamento says, Christopher, that's good advice for young women looking for a good men. What about advice for men looking for good women? I think I already answered that, Calamentos. I'm sorry, I know I'm behind here on the live chat, and I do not want to sound like a broken record, but I do reiterate that whole. We're going to have to do another live stream on, for those who are in the dating scene. I think it's really important. You're not going to get much of this in any kind of church. You're going to get more like the Paulian, you're going to get the Paulian verses and the, all that kind of stuff. But, this is hardcore rubber meets the road advice for life. Calamento says, Christopher, what's the difference between women who only want 1 or 2 children or just a few children versus women who wants a big bustling household with lots of children? Wow. Again, Calamentos, I'm sorry, I cannot. There's no way I can answer that question without taking another hour here. Everyone's different. Again, there may be different reasons. There may, I don't want to throw a blanket over it. Like there could be somebody who's suffering from medical issues, or maybe they have come to this realization later in life, and so they can't have a whole lot. Maybe there's a career that they want to prioritize, but yet in the same time they want to have children. I'll have to take a rain check on that, Calamentos, and we'll have to talk about that in depth in another live stream. Those are a few of my thoughts. Again, thank you for asking. And Chipmunk says, I think one of the best tests a couple can do is go camping. You learn a lot about someone when you camp. Oh, I can imagine. That's a good one too, Chipmunk. I can imagine. Yeah. Chipmunk says, I say go where you find good people and you have things in common with. A bar is generally not a good place to find good quality. True. You know, if you want to go to, you don't want to find, quality material at a bar like that for sure. Calamento says, Chipmunk, I've heard that the way a guy treats his mother is going to be the way he treats his wife. Yeah, be careful. Yeah. And Chipmunk says, agree, Calamentos, thank you. Yeah, all right. Wow, awesome discussion tonight. Lord willing, we'll have to do more of this on this topic to do it justice. What an amazing couple days, you know? We had Pastor Artur with us yesterday. We have our dear sweet Bluebird with us tonight. And
well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And you guys in the live chat are just absolutely phenomenal. Thank you for your questions and your comments and all that stuff. You guys are awesome. Chipmunk says, great discussion. Thank you, Blue. That's it, Blue.
Blue.
That's good, you know.
Thank you, Chipmunk. I'm still with you. I ain't got long left, but I'm still here. I mean, my phone is just slowly going down and down.
Okay, well, you
but
did
I'm
great.
Still here.
That's awesome. That's great. Qbert says, awesome discussion. Thank you, Bluebird and Brother Christopher. Thank you, Qbert. Glad it was a blessing to you. Thank you. And I hope and pray that it's a blessing to a lot of the folk out there that are on in that market, if you will. Thank you, Qberts. Elemental says, thank you, Bluebird, for your time. Thanks all for coming. Have a wonderful, blessed night. Sweet dreams, y'all. Thank you, Calamentos. You too. Have a wonderful, awesome night. Good rest. Blessings to you and your family. And Chipmunk says, you're a hoot. Much love. I'm not sure if I guess she's talking to you. You're a hoot. I guess you should be called Blue Owl instead of Bluebird.
A hoot.
Chipmunk says, thank you, Christopher, for discussing these difficult topics. I pray it helps many. Good rest and health to all. Thank you, Chipmunk. I really appreciate that. Awesome. Blessings to you as well. Many wings from God. What would you call it earlier? The aha God moments? Yeah, many of those. Until next time, Chipmunk.
Yeah.
And Calamento says, who is the hoot?
Hoot.
Who's the hoot? I guess it's the one that's hooting. Calamento says, yeah, ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. All right. Okay, guys, we'll be back, Lord willing, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. That's 2 p.m. New York time. So until then, keep on keeping on. Chipmunk says, I had some of those today. All right.
What?
Bluebird says, what? I had some of those today. What? Hoots? Owls?
What? Somewhat.
I don't know.
Oh.
She's had a few hoots.
Hoots. You know what? I cannot see any of the live chat. I can't see any of it on my end. Can't see a thing.
I'm covering pretty much everything. Oh, Chipmunk says, aha, God moments. Okay. There we go. There we go.
Aha.
That's great. Aha. God moments. Winks from God. That's great.
Uh,
Okay, we'll see you guys tomorrow, Lord willing, 2 p.m. Eastern. That's 2 p.m. New York time. As always, until then, keep on calling on him, and he will show you great and mighty things that you don't know. Jeremiah 33:3. Love you guys. Much love. Elemento says, love your style, Missy Slim Dog.
Thank you. Many thanks.
And Chipmunk
Thanks,
is enjoying
Sonia.
herself over there. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. Okay. It's good to have Missy Slim Dog with us every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. Yeah. Good. Thanks again for coming, Missy Slim Dog. It's been a hoot.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's been a hoot.
I pray it's been a lot of aha God moments for people watching as well.
I do too.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Okay, guys. Love you guys. Good health, long life to you. I pray the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face to shine upon you, lift up his countenance upon you, and give you wonderful, wonderful shalom. Amen. Amen. We'll see you guys tomorrow.